Special edition, folks, on a Friday, 6 Eastern. We tried for 6 Eastern. We did the best we could. Got our old buddy Zoe here to talk Miami football. Zoe, what's going on today?
What's going on, Mark, man? How you doing, man? How's it going? I
I'm
told some
doing
people last
well.
week I was going to jump on with you and talk a little Miami Hurricanes. It's good to be back. Good to be back in the building with you.
Good to have
Sports
you,
and college
man.
football. What's going on, brother?
Alonzo1219, the U family. Head on over there. Check out his work on YouTube if you're not familiar. All right. So, what have you been up to?
Man, it's been a long past couple of years, but right now getting everything back together. And watching my Hurricanes, watching my Hurricanes. And enjoying what I'm seeing for them. That's my little oasis. That's my little getaway, is being able to watch my University of Miami Hurricanes, and
That's it.
actually able to watch even though I'm not a huge college basketball fan, being able to watch those guys, you know, go to the Elite Eight, and just enjoying what the University of Miami Hurricanes are doing right now.
So, let's take it back to December when they went after Mario and broke the bank. And not only gave him a big contract, but they also gave him the money to hire some assistants and do it upright. So was that your number one guy?
Yeah, Mario was my number one guy at that time. You had a few guys that you thought about, but it felt right with Mario. I was still skeptical of the hire, but it felt right with him coming home. So yeah, I was good with it. I had two guys on the show. And one of the guys, Chuck Persons, who's huge at the University of Miami. He basically called it on that Thursday. We did a show on that Thursday. He said, "This is gonna happen Friday. This is gonna happen Saturday. This is gonna happen Sunday, and it'll be over with by Monday, and you'll have your coach." And he didn't say who it was, but we talked behind the scenes who it was, and everything he said panned out perfectly. So between Chuck and Billy Wilson, what I'm saying, those guys gave me a lot of information on what was going on down there, and everything panned out exactly the way Chuck said it was gonna pan out. So I give Chuck a lot of credit because he didn't have to come on the show with all the ties he has at the University of Miami and everything. He didn't have to come on the show and basically break that news before it did, but I give all that to Chuck Person, man. He was wonderful when he did that. And Monday, when everything broke, I was in Charlotte and we went live, and it was crazy. And so many people were happy with it. So definitely, it was definitely a booster. It was definitely a big boost for the University of Miami.
So Zoe, the ties to Miami are obvious, and so you got to believe that his heart's in it more so than if it would have been another choice. But in addition to that, when you see his work as a coach, as a recruiter, what's your analysis of that?
I was skeptical on him as a coach. As a recruiter, I was a little bit skeptical because I knew he was a great recruiter, but I didn't know if he was as great as everybody was saying he was, because every recruiter at Alabama is the number one recruiter. If you recruit at Alabama, you're the number one recruiter. He did really good at Oregon. So I wasn't really skeptical as a recruiter. I think I was a little more skeptical as him being that he's never called plays on either side of the ball. That was my skepticism with Mario. What type of coaching staff he's going to bring in, and is he going to be afraid to bring in alpha males? And he landed that he hit it on the head. Any question that I had about him as a coach, whether or not he could bring in the correct personnel and things like that, he shut me up quick. I mean, it wasn't quick because we went through a lot of this. We went through a lot with him when it came to how long it took him to hire coaches. But once the ball was rolling, he went. It was crazy. It was crazy. And what bugs me out is my first choice for defensive coordinator. My number one guy for defense coordinator was Charlie Strong. And he hired Kevin Steele, and I was like, that's a great hire. Wow. Then a couple weeks later, he come back and hire Charlie Strong. I'm like, yo, what the freak? Because that was my number one choice. Everybody had, well, who do you want as defense coordinator? I said, Charlie Strong. That's why I wanted as my defense coordinator. So if you to bring him in as linebacker coach, and you look at the way these linebackers are talking about I was just like, So to me, what he's doing is almost taking a blueprint off of Nick Saban. He's hiring coaches. So if a coach, if Kevin Steele was to get a head coaching job in 1 or 2 years, Charlie Strong's still there, he can take over the defense. And that's what you want. You want to build depth on the coaching staff as well. And that's what he's doing.
Did the Josh Gattis hire, did that surprise you?
That surprised me, especially with him winning offense coordinator. I mean, was coordinator of the year. What he did at Michigan, to me, a lot of people like I heard some Michigan fans, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. He had a quarterback with a bum arm. All his receivers were done, and he changed up his whole system just for that running back. When you're able to adapt, and I always say this about coaches, when you're able to adapt to the talent that you have, I believe you can be a great coach. The only thing that kind of worries me about Gattis a little bit, and it's only because I haven't seen a game, is hopefully he doesn't change the offense too much, because TVD flourished in that offense. So I don't want to see. Hopefully he doesn't do too much of a change to set TVD back in it. But the hire, I mean, it's not too many more coaches. You want offensive coach. You want coordinator of the year or something like that. You can't. There's no way you can turn that down. So.
The reason I think that fits too is because Mario's an offensive line guy. Sure, you want to use the speed, you want to use the space, you want to make up mismatches and all that, but you want to start with a power running game and an offensive line leaning team. And that's exactly what Gattis had at Michigan. He had the big back. He had 3 running backs who carried the ball. They had a big offensive line. They went power running, like you were just saying, but he brought a lot of nuances and a lot of flair to the offense to get the speed guys on the perimeter and but work off that base of a power running game. And it seems like you got to think that's what Mario wants at the core.
Oh yeah, I think the only hard thing about getting a huge offensive line at University of Miami is it never happens because of the heat. Like those guys, they shed weight. You might come to Miami at 320 pounds and end up at 300. You're gonna shed some weight in that heat. You're gonna shed some weight. Some weight is just gonna happen. But this is why I like the strength and conditioning. The guy he brought in from Oregon. This is why I like him at. Just because you shed weight don't mean you shed strength. And this guy's an animal. I love the way he does things, man. And I just love the way. And he was my favorite hire, to be honest with you. Outside of Charlie Strong, he was my favorite hire. When I seen his workout tapes, and I'm like, they're all highlight film. But he's a guy who's intense, and he looks the part. I'm like Miami's. We for the past couple of years we've had strength and condition. It's like if you go to the gym and you want a guy to train you. Yeah, I'm a big CT Fletcher fan. If you want a guy to train you, you want a guy to look the part. I don't care if you say this, that. Well, why aren't you using it on yourself? And Miami's had a tendency of hiring these strength and conditioning coordinators that don't look the part. So I can't trust you looking at you. Maybe you have to earn your trust, but I can't trust you when you look like you just had 15 cheeseburgers and you sweating grease juice down your cheek. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard for me to trust you. But this guy, he's to me, he's awesome. He's great. And that's another hire that I love from the University of Miami.
Kind of reminds me of what I heard this week at Iowa, where the new Iowa quarterbacks coach, apparently, I didn't hear this out of his mouth, so I shouldn't even say this maybe secondhand, but it was relayed to me that he made the comment that he can't throw a football. I don't know how you can be a quarterback coach and work on their fundamentals and their techniques if you can't throw a football.
And if you can, but a little bit different on it though. You might look like you could throw. You got to at least look like you. Because it's all right. It's like I think you can be an offensive coordinator if you're smart enough and you're not like if you think about it. Steve Kerr, I'm going to basketball. Or you go to any sport, like a lot of guys who weren't great players, they sat and studied a lot. Like Bill Belichick wasn't a great player.
Sure.
Jimmy Johnson wasn't a great player. Nick Saban wasn't a great player. Scott studied a lot because they were on the field, so they studied a lot. So you probably can teach motion even if you can't throw it, but it's kind of hard for me to look at you as like the shape I'm in right now. I'm getting in better shape. The shape I'm in right now, I can't be a strength and conditioning coach. I can't tell somebody how to get right when I can't. I don't even look the part. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm with you. I'm fighting it every day.
and those are the things that I think Coach Mario addressed so many different things. I think he just addressed so many different things with the coaches that he hired. Now it is going to be a little to be said on the offensive side of the ball because he did coach defensive heavy. He did hire defensive heavy when it comes to veterans and stuff like that. But I think the reason why he did that is because, I mean, you need your defense to be great because Miami has skill on the offense side of the ball. So Gattis is going to have a lot to work with. On the defense side of the ball, they have skill but zero discipline. The offense kept us in every game last year. The defense, like, they had zero discipline at all. You know, so you have to change that culture. So I think it's easier to work with offense than it is to work with defense. So he went defensive heavy. And like you said, with him being an offensive line coach, he's going to be helping Gattis on that side of the ball. So you can look at him based, even though he hired an offensive line coach, you can look at him as, you know, saying being a slash offensive line tight end coach because, you know, that's what he did. Yeah.
So let's pick up a question here from Gary. He wants to know, what win total would you be satisfied with this year?
10.
Okay.
My scariest losses, the two losses that I see, and you could throw North Carolina in there because when North Carolina lost they lost a lot. They lost a lot. And they're the best two running backs they had, they lost a lot. I feel as if Texas A&M on the road, going to the loudest stadium in all of the world, not just college football, going to the loudest stadium in all of the world, that's gonna be a tough game. And Texas A&M is a very well coached team, very well disciplined, and has a lot of talent. And even though people write and dabble off in Clemson, listen, I'm in the great state of the Carolinas, man. Coming to Carolina and thinking that we're just gonna beat Clemson, I'm live. Okay. Thinking we're just gonna beat Clemson is like that. No. I listen, Dabo's a 2-time national championship coach. And one thing that Miami fans need to realize is, even when Miami's down, every team gives Miami their best. Even when Miami's down, people want to beat Miami. So those two games right there would be the two that I could say we could lose. But I do think they can go either way. I would slim North Carolina. I think we can beat them this year, but I would say 10-2.
So you talked a little bit about TVD. I know at this time last year, obviously, people were looking forward to seeing De'Ara King come back for another season.
Not me.
And well, a lot of people were. At the time, it was a big transfer addition from Houston. But anyway, in terms of the young guys, TVD and Jake Garcia, we would have had a nice battle back and forth between a lot of people as to who they expected to be the better player. And we still haven't seen anything out of Garcia. So I'm certainly not shutting down his future. But were you a little bit surprised how quickly TVD turned into a top flight quarterback?
Was I a little bit surprised? No, I was a lot of bit surprised.
Yeah.
I had picked Garcia over Tyler Van Dyke. It's only a couple of people I know picked Tyler Van Dyke over Garcia. I had picked Garcia over Tyler Van Dyke from the spring game and everything. I picked Garcia over Tyler Van Dyke. And then Tyler Van Dyke happened. He had, and I don't want people to get mad at me for saying this, but if you look at the back shoulder throw, the throws that he made, the throws on the run that he made, and when he gets an open, how he able to throw the ball cross body, he reminded me a little bit of Clemson quarterback. What was his name? Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
The way if you go look at his film and the way he throw the ball, the way he steps up in the pocket, and the way he throws the ball off that side leg and that back shoulder throw, I'm sitting here like every single game he got better, and he was like, he threw for what, almost 3,000 yards and 26 touchdowns and only like 8 starts. Like, who does that? And what he did was he got better every game. But I think the game that made him, it might have been a North Carolina game with that tip ball and they got intercepted. And he went on the sideline and cried. When he cried, I said, that guy's going to be good. I said he's going to be good because you can't, those are things you can't teach. You can't teach passion. You can't teach heart. And he does not want to lose. And he never put us in a bad predicament last year as a redshirt freshman quarterback who's never played. He did not put us in a bad predicament at all last year. Now, what I can say is these coaches, scouts are going to be on him this year. And they're going to try to take his best throws away. They're going to try to take his best throws away. So they're going to be on him this year. So I have to say, and everybody knows the sophomore slump. You know, in the sophomore slump, people think the sophomore slump is because, you know, you didn't grow. No, it's because coaches have film on you. They have film on you now. So these coaches have film on him now. So I want to see how Gattis and his offense, you know what I'm saying, out-coach the defense coordinator that he plays against.
So, Zoe, we've known each other for a long time, and we've been on here many times. So I know
10
if you
years. 10
it's
years.
been 10 years.
Almost 10, I think 2013.
Something like that. It's, yeah.
It's a long time.
In that range. It's been a while. It's been a while. So, Zoe, I will tell everybody that Zoe is extremely generous and hospital. Just showed a ton of hospitality when my son and I came down for the Florida-Miami game. Came down to Orlando 2019, the opener. We hung out with Zoe and his whole crew there, and it was a good time.
We shut down Duffy's that night, didn't we? I mean, it started being a Florida crowd. By the end of the time, it was a whole. We shut Duffy's down that night. We had a great time. It was. We did an interview after, and you interviewed so many people. And your son, I was like, you just so much. He reminded me so much, like the same attitude. Remind me so much of you, and I truly enjoyed. That was probably my favorite night, even though we lost that game. That was my favorite night as a Miami Hurricane fan because so many people came together, and we had a whole bunch of Gator fans that bought tickets. People, you let Gator fans? They bought tickets. They bought tickets. They could come in. We had a whole bunch, and everybody just had fun. It was a back and forth.
It was a good time. And I got to tell you that I walked in there and I didn't know anybody face to face, and everybody just welcomed me with open arms, and we had a great time, and everybody was talking, have a good time, and drinking and eating and watching
football. People
football.
asked me, "Where's Mark? Is Mark?" I said, "He's on the way." And as soon as you came in, they mobbed you, Mark.
It was a good time.
You was like a rock star down there, Mark. Everybody knew who you were, man. Everybody. Matter of fact, when you was trying to do, I remember we were doing an interview outside. Everybody was behind the camera. Everybody was behind the camera trying to do an interview. They was trying to get interviewed. Everybody wanted to be on the Mark Rogers show, man. I want to be on Mark Rogers.
But Zoe, I'm just telling you that you know, I will never forget that you being that again, that welcoming to welcome us in to your group there, and all the other times as well.
And you flew all the way from Connecticut. You flew all the way. Yeah. I mean, and that was that. I appreciate you doing that. It's easy to invite somebody. Somebody jump on that flight.
Well, we had a good time. It was a quick trip, but we had a good time. We made the most of it.
Yeah.
But I brought some of that up because, you know, you've been on here so many times, and you've always, you know, you're not a Miami fan that's just going to always blow sunshine up everybody's. You're going to tell it like it is. So I know you're extremely happy, like just about everybody on the Miami family, about what's happened over the last 4 or 5 months ever since Mario took over. Is there anybody that they've hired on the coaching staff that you don't approve of, that you're maybe not don't approve of, but you're not sold on?
Not really, because I think they did a good mixture of young and older coaches. And I think they did a good mixture of bringing in, what do they call those guys? Like guys like Jason Taylor and stuff like that. And then Ed Reed actually is on the field. People say he didn't want to coach. He wanted to be a defensive coordinator. He didn't want to be able to. He's actually on the field coaching the defensive backs as well a lot during the spring. So I like the mixture. I don't want a whole bunch of old guys or a whole bunch of young guys. I need some experienced guys and then some smart guys who can learn from from those guys. So no, there's not a coach on there that I don't approve of. Now when the season starts, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna start breaking down, well, this coach might not teaching him this, or this coach might not be teaching him that. But at the same time, right now, I think that he did especially in the short amount of time that he did it, like especially the short amount of time. I appreciate that, Richard. Thank you, man. Especially the short amount of time that he did it. It was amazing to me how he brought these coaches in, because you think about it, we didn't start bringing in the coaching staff after recruiting. Like, recruiting was over when we started bringing in the coaching staff. So how do you get a top 15 recruiting class with no coaches? How you convince these guys to come over? How do you end up? And you got to think about when he took over, we were 89th when he took over in recruiting. We were 89th. How do you get these coaches to buy in and want to come when you're bringing them in late? I think my only skepticism was he waited so long that it put the kids behind the 8 ball on learning the playbook, because they didn't know what playbook they were going to go with. But as of a disapproval of any coaches, I'm not. And this is the first time you hear me say that. Like I say, it could change week 4 or 5. It could change week 4 or 5. But as of right now, no, I approve of every single coach that's on this staff.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. For the last 4 or 5 years before the Cristobal hiring, you were kind of maybe you were completely outspoken 100%, or maybe you were just questioning, what is the commitment of this school and this administration to football? Do they just want to make sure we get to bowl games and make money, and just so we're good enough to not be embarrassed and make money and get the TV money and do all those things? That's good enough. But kind of questioning a commitment to championships. But with the Cristobal hiring, it seems like they went all in on this.
Yeah, can I say, it's not a bad word, but it's a bad word. I'm not going to kiss Miami's ass, because I bought season tickets since 2010. This was the first year I didn't buy season tickets. In the last 2 years, I bought them and gave them all away. This was the first year I didn't buy season tickets. So I'm not gonna kiss Miami's ass. I'm a true fan who loves the University of Miami. So I questioned, and I wanted the Manny Diaz hire, until Manny Diaz became Manny Diaz Senior. I wanted the Manny Diaz hire, but it was Manny Diaz and a whole bunch of Manny Diaz's. And when you hire a young coach and you have a whole bunch of young coaches staff, you're gonna have problems. I felt like the coaching staff, they wouldn't commit to a quarterback. I felt like they wouldn't commit to a quarterback. I think, no disrespect to Derek King, I think Derek King held us back a year or two, because these young quarterbacks needed to play. And you in order to move forward, I feel like this year, if you're a championship team, right? If you have championship aspirations, which Miami should have every single year, then there shouldn't be a stopgap quarterback. If you're a championship team, then let this young quarterback play. Whoever you decide, let one of these young guys play, so you don't have a stopgap quarterback. Because one position on the field that cannot be in question when it comes to football is quarterback. That position cannot be on that. If you're a championship team, that position cannot be of question on the football field. And so, if you have a quarterback, your chance. If you have a Heisman candidate quarterback, your chances of winning is tremendously better than if you have a stopgap quarterback. I mean, you just look at the difference between Trevor Lawrence and the guy that they have down there now. I mean, just look at the difference. And they have the same skill players. They don't have Trevor Lawrence. So no matter how good your skill players are, I was telling people were like, well, I run a game sucks. I run a game. That's because we have no disrespect. We have a quarterback who, if you're 5'8", and you can barely see over the offensive line, you have a quarterback that the defense is going to creep up on. So it's going to hurt the running game. If you look at when Dyke got in the game, when those cornerbacks and when those safeties and linebackers creeped up to the field, when they creeped up towards line of scrimmage, he burned them deep every time. He made them pay for it. So the pass can actually open up the run. If you can't, it's hard to win when you have 8 against 5. It's hard to win. So those are like Tyler Van Dyke. That's where he's so. And even on the run, like he's not a fast guy, but he's very mobile. I've watched him break 20, 30-yard runs a few times last year. I think he had over 200 yards rushing last year. And I mean, that's good for a quarterback in 8 games. That's good. He's not going to just sit there and you're going to hit him. And he's not going to just look to run. He's not going to look one read and throw the football. He's going to go through his progressions. And then if there's nothing there, he's going to roll out. And then if he rolls out, he sees something, he's going to hit it on the dime. If there's nothing there, he's going to try to get 10, 15 yards. And he made the offense way more dynamic than I've seen in years.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences in the quarterback position, but the one that is the most obvious and most basic is that there's only one on the field. It's the only position where, okay, if you aren't the best cornerback on the team, that's fine. If you're the second best, the third best, even the fourth best, we got a spot for you, and we're going to get you in the rotation. You're going to be on the field. If you're the sixth best offensive lineman, hey, you're still going to play a lot. Regardless of the position, hey, we got room for you as long as you're in that top 3, 4, 5, whatever the position is. But quarterback, hey, we got to commit to one. That's all we got. And you either win the job or you don't win the job.
And people ask me, well, do you think Van Dyke should be do you think he should be in a quarterback competition this year? Hell no. No. No, he should not be in a quarterback competition this year. Why? Tell me what he did last year that makes you think he should be in a quarterback competition this year. And I like Jake Garcia. I do. I really like the kid. But he has to lose his job. He has to get out there and play horrible. And not just one game. He has to lose his job. It's not a competition for quarterback. Because when you have a quarterback competition, especially when a guy that's that good, now there's no chemistry. The team is wondering. You don't want the team wondering about quarterback. You don't want the team wondering about quarterback. That's the one position, like you said, that's the one position that you have to commit to. That's like head coach. Head coach and quarterback are married. They're married. So you can't have bigamy, you know what I'm saying, with your quarterback. You can't cheat on your quarterback with other quarterbacks. You know, they're married together. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and Tyler Van Dyke truly earned it. Truly earned it. So, and like I said, I thought Garcia, and I'm not saying Garcia isn't better. I'm saying Van Dyke was all world last year. Like he was all world. Like he was the best quarterback in the ACC. So how do you go from that to having a quarterback competition? You can't do that. So
our guy Sadrax here, he's got a question for you. He says, what are your honest thoughts on what is going to be different for this team this upcoming year, regardless of the record?
Toughness. Flat out. Especially on the defense side of the ball. They're going to be tough. They're like, look at they hired a bunch of old men. Remember they say the old man strength. They had a bunch of grown men for that team who's not going to sit here and allow you to pout and moan. And the thing is, though, they also hire guys who can scheme. So it's not just about run my defense the way I want you to run it. I believe they're going to put you in the best position to win. I believe they look at the team and say, okay, we can't run a 4-3 because, you know, we're not big enough. So we might run a 3-3-5, or we might run a 3-4, or we're gonna run a multiple style defense because we can't run this. And I think that's the main thing when it comes to coaching is like Gattis did, being able to adapt. You know, so I think toughness, mental toughness. I think you have men in the room. You think about on the defense side of the ball, you have 2 coaches on the defense side of the ball that won national championships as defense coordinator. Kevin Steele at Auburn and at LSU, and Charlie Strong at Florida. You know, both of those guys as defensive coordinators won national championships. I don't know if there's any other school in college football that has 2 guys on the defensive side of the ball that won national championships as a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator. I don't think there's another school in college football that has that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And they won multiple. Both of them won multiple. So that's a lot of experience.
Well, if you count the head coach, I guess Brent Venables taking over at Oklahoma. He brought his defensive line coach with him.
Yeah, but he's a defensive line coach. I mean, these guys did it at coordinators. Like they did it, calling the plays for the defense. And like when you're a defensive line coach, you're basically switching out your defensive lineman. And when you call in the play, like those guys were, when you looked at the offensive court, you looked at the head coach, offense coordinator, and defense coordinator on the sideline. Those are the guys you looked at on the sidelines. You know, so I don't think there's another team that has two former coordinators that has won national championships, multiple national championships as well.
Yeah,
and that's tough to do. And then
sure.
And then you have a national championship coach in Mario who won that championship at Alabama. So I mean that's a pedigree. That's a. I mean, I wouldn't line our coaching staff neck to neck with anybody in college football except for Alabama because Nick Saban is Nick Saban. It's Nick Saban. But as a coaching staff, I would line us up. We got the offensive, we got the coordinator of the year as offensive coordinator, and you just look at you got Mario who's won a national championship at Alabama, and you have two guys who got four national championships between the both of them. That's a lot of experience in big time games, man.
Yeah,
those guys have been there and seen that, and I think any school in college football would take that staff, maybe except Alabama. And that was my question about Mario when we hired him. Can he hire guys? Because I didn't like the offensive coordinator I didn't like really offense or defense coordinator at Oregon. So that was my concern, and he definitely answered that with a huge way he came with the offseason. I was amazed. I'm like a kid. I'm like a kid in a candy store, man. I'm just waiting for the season to start. Like I want to see all of my toys. I want to play with all my toys. I want to play with all my toys, man. So yeah, I'm definitely excited with his coaching staff.
We got Cal here who brings up the 4th and 14 play. So were you thinking big picture when Florida State pulled off 4th and 14? Or were you thinking, of course, being pissed off that they lost the game, but thinking, you know what, maybe this is what we need to push Manny out the door?
Yeah, Manny needed to go. Manny was inexperienced. It was a lot of rift in that locker, just like it was a lot of rift in the locker room with Mark Richt. There was a lot of rift in the locker room. The team was totally separated. They gave up on Manny. So 4th and 14 was symbolic. That's all it was. It was symbolic. That's all it was. It was symbolic, man. It was because once you did that and you already had the fans, I think the pivotal point with Mark was when he turned his back on Ed Reed. When he turned his back on Ed Reed, when Ed Reed was talking to him, he turned his back on Ed Reed. I wanted him fired then. Who are you to turn your back on Ed Reed? Like Ed Reed has won a national championship at Miami, a Super Bowl, Hall of Famer, college Hall of Famer, the greatest safety to ever play the game. The number 1 and 2 is him and Deion Sanders. To me, is the greatest defensive backs to ever play the game. Who are you to turn your back? And then not just that, his passion, what he brings to it, how he feels about the game. So when he turned his back on Ed Reed, I lost all respect for Manny. All respect. It was gone for me. You don't turn your back on to me. And he's considered the greatest Miami Hurricane to ever play. And he turned his back on him. To me, that was it. That was it. That was the end of the road for me and Manny. Yeah.
We got Zoe here, folks. Alonzo 1219, the U family. We'll get the banner up. You follow it right on over there to Zoe's channel.
I actually changed my logo a little bit, Mark. I'm Kane's World Order now. But I'm still on 1219, the U family.
You are committed.
Oh yes. Got my Sebastian right here.
Nice.
I love my Miami Hurricanes, man. I love the fan base, even though they kill you. Our fan base is New York Knicks fan base. They will kill you. They will let you have it. If you are right, they will approve of you. If you are wrong, they will destroy you. I'm more scared of the fan base than I am. I think I would rather walk through and probably punch Ray Lewis a couple times and take that butt whooping than it is sometime to come on YouTube and face a fan base if I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, they've taken it out on me a few times too.
Oh my gosh, boy, they will kill you. They will. Oh man, but it's all love, man. I had to learn. That's one thing. Like I said, and Coach Hayes, like to me, if you want to really talk, like break down. He coached with Mario at FIU. He also one of the best coaches in high school in the state of Florida when he coached. And breaking down football, when it comes to breaking down Miami, I don't know any Miami Hurricane YouTuber better than Coach Hayes. I just don't. And I like to give myself all the credit in the world. But when somebody's better, somebody's just better. somebody's just
Well, you
better.
do different things.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm better at different things. He's good at trash talking too. That's what kills me. He come on my show and he comes over there. I told him, I said, Coach, I said, you're gonna pass me in another year or two. I'm at 19,950. So I'm waiting. 16,950. I'm waiting to get to 17,000. He's at about 25,000. This guy's amazing, man. He's good, man. But he's also a mentor of mine. He's helped me get through a lot of rough stretches, you know what I'm saying, and talk through some things. But the guy, if you could ever get an opportunity to have him on, man, I'm telling you, he will blow the roof off. He's a comedian too, but he's just good at what he does. He's very good.
All right. I will look forward to that. I'll reach out to him. Is there anything else that we didn't hit on that you wanted to get out there?
No. I appreciate you calling me up, and I think people like you not on Mark no more. I mean, I said me and Mark still keep in touch, but they don't understand. I don't be on YouTube that much anymore. You have work and YouTube takes up a lot of your time. It really does. It takes up like you. I remember, this is an old story with you. I remember the Tate Martell news, and you were ESPN, and we were talking about those things and stuff like that off the line and everything. And I remember being up at like 2:00 in the morning with people, and you called me like, "Laws, you need to go to sleep." But you gotta be working. Because and people don't understand, like YouTube, you will forget it, and you got to be to work at 5:00 in the morning. You still ain't took your behind to sleep because you are on here trying to. You're really trying to convince people certain things, but you also want to get your opinion across. But you also want to hear other people's opinions. But you are really, in order to do YouTube, you have to really be dedicated, and you don't have to be dedicated to every stat or every player or every recruit, but you have to be dedicated to your craft. And I wasn't as dedicated a couple years ago that I am where I am right now, because I told her I live my life open. Went through a divorce, things like that. So I live my life publicly. It doesn't bother me that your wife left you. Okay, thank you, appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I hope you enjoy. I hope you feel better about yourself by saying that. You know what I'm saying? But I live my life publicly because I feel like if somebody's going through the same thing, I like to let them know that, man, God got you. No matter what, man, God got you. Just stick through it. No matter what you go through. I mean, you're gonna be mean sometimes. You're gonna be, because you're going through things, and those things are gonna happen. But at the end of the day, God still got you, man. And that's the biggest thing about the YouTube community is that, so you have so many guys who, especially this college football thing, because you have a lot of YouTubers, but you really don't. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of us know each other. We network with each other. And we talk with each other. And I tell people, like, no matter who the guy is, no matter who is it, someone works hard as hell. T2Y works hard as hell. Miami Flow works hard as hell. Uncle Lou works hard as hell. You know what I'm saying? Voice of college football, Mark Rogers. I remember when I said, man, you are the voice of college football. You have to go with this. I'm going with that. He works hard as hell doing this. I don't think people know what you gave up to do this. I'm not going to say it, but I wish I could say what you gave up to do YouTube. And if people knew that, they might respected a little more because he gave up what more than I was willing to give up to do YouTube. So you have to acknowledge that no matter people go through situations like I said, me and Holson went through some things, but he's still great at what he does. You have to acknowledge that. You have to acknowledge the greatness of people. Give people their flowers while they're here. You know what I'm saying? And Mark, you've been doing it since 2013, 2014, and I took months off. You haven't took a day off. I took a day off. I went absent MIA for 4 or 5 months. I'm tired. I can't do it no more. So that's the one thing. It's not even about. It's not just about Miami. It's just about this YouTube community and people who you get to know through it. It's different. You got Kane Shades. Like they Kane Shades and All About the U83 are pioneers of Miami Hurricane YouTube. They the ones who started it. I was the one who started going live before live was live. You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that I like to come across. And my 2 favorite shows to this day, and I tell people what is I have 3 now because I have with me, Coach Hayes, Junior and Big Dog, all of us is on. I have that one. But my 2 favorite shows to this day is on Mark Rogers with me and Cam Underwood.
Oh yeah, that was fun. I just kicked back and enjoyed it, man. I just kicked back, took it in.
Yeah, that was a highlight of my career. Because so many people's like, you going on with Cam, you're not going to be in a talk with Cam. And I'm in the back of my mind saying, I'm telling everybody, I'm going to be in a talk with Cam. I'm going to be in a talk with Cam. In the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to be in a talk with Cam. But I was able to talk with him, and it was. Sure. I think that built my confidence of Alonzo. You can do this, because he was Cam is to me he's the pinnacle of Miami football. So to be able to go have 2 shows with that guy and go toe to toe with that guy and have much fun as we had on your show, I tell people to this day, those are the best. Those were my 2 favorite shows ever.
No, I appreciate that. I had a whole lot of fun. And, I think I may have said to you afterwards, or maybe it was leading into it, because you expressed something of that to me to say, yeah, I'm going to try to keep up and whatever. You were a little bit concerned. And I was like, Zoe, we all bring our different slice. We all, he's got what he is expert in. You've got your takes that are just as important, just as valid. You do it more as an entertainer, and it's just different. It's just as long as everybody's being authentic and they're not spewing a bunch of crap that they don't know. If you don't know something, either stay away from it or say you don't know.
Exactly.
But as long as you're authentic and try not to be somebody you're not, then there's room for all of us.
I think what he did, though, was he brought the best out of me, and I think I was able to really break down, because he was basically challenging me. He wasn't challenging me, but he was asking me questions where I was able to break down plays and stuff. And then I never seen him act like he was at the bar. So he was kind of acting like me a little bit. He was, pumping his fist, and he was acting like he was like we were sitting. That's why I came up with Barbershop Talk at. That's why I came with Barbershop Talk, because those 2 shows, I think we brought the best out of each other. And you allowed us to, because like you said, I'm gonna kick back. I'm not even gonna ask you questions. I'm gonna kick back, and you let it. And I think that brought the best out of us. You definitely made both of us better that day, and then it showed how a true analyst can sit back and say, okay, I'm gonna let these guys rock. I'm gonna let these guys rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, most analysts won't do that. Most analysts won't do that, but that shows your professionalism. That shows where you grew and how you were able to, you know what I'm saying, let 2 guys just, it was entertaining. It was fun. I was my favorite shows. I still have them saved for my favorite shows.
I think part of this, if you're going to host, is understanding, first of all, I got a channel. I can jump on here whenever I want. I'm spewing stuff all week. I take call-in shows. I did a 3.5-hour call-in show last night. So people hear from me all the time. So if I get somebody like you, I get Cam on here, I'm going to let you guys shine. Now, there are certain people that need a little bit more interaction. They can't just take it and run with it. So you just kind of have to gauge that and see what the other person needs, for sure. I also appreciate, we did a show, as you well know, when there was a lot of racial strife, and you came on, and a number of other people. I immediately thought of you and a few other people that I thought would be able to bring tremendous perspective to it. And we didn't run from it. We came at it, and we shared our thoughts and feelings, and our takes, and our backgrounds and experiences, and that was great.
I remember that show. I remember that show like it was yesterday, and it's amazing how we were able to get. And that's why I tell people like, man, so just stick to football. Like, football players don't even stick to football. Coaches don't even stick to football. I mean, like, there are people on here. I look at when I do my channel. If I got 50 people on or 250 people on, there's somebody in there that can give me a message, and there's somebody in there that I can give a message to. So you're gonna, when you do these, like you say, you do these shows three. And that's why I say people don't understand how hard YouTube is. You do these shows for 2, 3, 4 hours. It's hard to sometimes stay exactly on topic because it gets dull sometimes. It gets dull in your head. You have to, you're constantly thinking of different things to talk about. And the hard thing about your show is you bring on so many different YouTube analysts, from different schools. Like, okay, even though you and Big Dog, the only two people I know that can remember something from 1912. Like, I'm like, what in the hell? Like, what are they doing? Like, they can remember a play that happened in 1912. I remember this play that was drawn up with Oklahoma, when Oklahoma wasn't called Oklahoma, they were just called the Sooners. Like, what you talking about? But you and Big Dog can do that. And like I said, I had a pleasure to meet so many friends on doing this, and it's like a reunion to me to be able to come back on the show and talk Miami. And that's why I'm breaking it down the way I did with talking about the good times that we had on this show. And the good time when you came on my show a couple times, and the good times me and Coach Coop. Me and Coach Coop had great times on my show. I had great time on his show. We've had great times talking off screen. I think you build relationships that no matter what happens, those bonds can't be broken. You might disappear for a second, or this and that, but you build relationships with those bonds can't be broken. And it's a college football. It's really it's 1219 U family, but it's really a college football family. And I truly appreciate it. And hopefully I'll be able to come on a few more times this year, to talk some games. I'm thinking about going to the spring game. I wasn't going to go, but I'm thinking about going now. So.
That's on the 16th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going. I'm not 100% sure, but if I don't go, I'm pretty sure somebody will be filming it. Yeah, I think you remember those times I filmed the whole spring game with my tablet.
I remember that.
Went live. The whole spring went live with my tablet. They demonetized the hell out of me.
I don't know how many years ago this was, but I remember for me at the time, this video popped. I don't know how many views it got. It was over 10,000 views. And for especially at that point, man, that was everything to me. It was when you came on after one of the spring games and we did a post game.
In the car.
Spring game. Yeah.
In the car.
People loved it.
It was buffering like crazy. I had to keep
People loved
the car. Like, those are memories that you. And I remember that I was at my, and God bless the day, at my uncle's house that I was at. He passed away last year. But yeah, I was at my aunt and uncle house in Miami Gardens, sitting in the car, talking about the spring game. And I remember that, man. I remember that in the car. I think that he was like, call me as soon as the game over with. So as soon as I got back, I didn't want to call you in that traffic. As soon as I got, because I think the drive from the house is usually like a 3-minute drive, but the traffic is a 43-minute drive. But yeah, in the car, we sat in the car because I had too many people in the house. We sat in the car and did a live stream in the car after the Miami Hurricane game. That was fun. Yeah.
That blew up too. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I remember this. I'm telling you this, and I'm going on. How long are you going to be on, Mark? How long are you going to be on for tonight?
Tonight?
Yeah.
I got a West Virginia show at 8 p.m.
Okay. Well, I got a Miami show at 8, so I'm not bumping heads with you. If I was bumping heads with you, I wouldn't. If you were doing a Miami show, I would jump off. But
no,
I got a Miami show. I have a Miami show tonight at 8.
You do your thing.
And West Virginia, man, that's another school that, like, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question. This SEC realignment, like when you look at Oklahoma and you look at Texas, they've been bottom tier teams for the past 20 years, 18 years or whatever, right? They haven't been great. They've been up and down, but they haven't been really good.
Who's
They're
been up and
following.
down? Wait a minute.
I mean,
Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, they've been good, but they've had some really bad years. Had some really bad years in over the past 20 years.
When were these bad years?
I mean, when I say bad years, you look at Oklahoma, you look at they want to win championships. They want to win championships.
Yeah, they've not won national championships, but they've
That's
dominated
what
the Big 12.
But they what I mean by they've had bad. I'm gonna say this, they've had bad endings to years. They've had some bad endings.
Oh, absolutely.
And Texas A&M jumped ship before everybody when Texas got that TV deal. They jumped ship as soon as they got the TV deal. How do you feel about Texas A&M, Oklahoma jumping to the to the SEC? Man? Like, even though I think they both, like, Texas have been overrated for, like, to me they haven't been good at all.
No.
But they bring money and they bring cachet,
and that's why they're leaving.
The SEC
that's the whole move. It's all about money.
They just got richer.
Yeah.
How do you compete with that?
I don't think it's good for college football. I don't think it's good for the rest of the nation.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure how you compete. How do you compete with all of that money in the SEC? Because when you look at, like, you got Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State that makes a lot of money. Is that Big 10, Big 12, Big 10?
Big 10.
Big 10. But you got an SEC where you got Texas A&M, Alabama. People don't realize how much money South Carolina makes. Like, University of South Carolina is a lot of money. And they have an 85,000 seat stadium that they sell out every Saturday. And if they played on Sunday and Monday, they'll sell out every day too. LSU, you have all these teams that already make this money. And now you bring in two of the richest schools in college football into that conference.
People might be surprised to know that even though the SEC is the best conference on the field, that the Big Ten and the Big Ten and the SEC own the sport financially. The last numbers that came out, the SEC and the Big Ten were pulling in 72 to 75 million per team, and then it drops down to the ACC and the Big 12, and they're in like the mid 30s. Okay. All the SEC and the Big Ten schools make more than twice as much money as all the ACC and the Big 12 schools. So the Big Ten's been able to keep up with the SEC in terms of money, revenue, rear ends in the seats. 3 of the top 4 rated football games last year were Big Ten football games. But now with Oklahoma and Texas, no, it's the SEC. They're going. They're gone. Yeah.
It's like, what in the hell just happened?
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, what just happened? What just happened? I'm with you. I think college realignment. I knew it was going to happen, but when those two teams jumped, I was like, man, this is just the rich getting richer. It's going to be hard for college. Now, I feel like you have Oklahoma's, Michigan's. I mean, you have Ohio State's, Michigan's, Miami. You have because the bed that they're in, that they will be able to compete with any team in the country. If they get their talent from their home talent, they'll be able to compete with any team in the country. But when it comes to conferences, it's just going to be hard to compete with the SEC now.
So here's my thoughts, though. For as big and bad as the Big Ten is, and when I say bad, I mean in a good way, for as much as a dynasty as the Big Ten is, keeping up with the SEC, you know what conference I think has the opportunity to long-term is in better position to compete with the SEC than the Big Ten?
What was that?
The ACC.
I've said that for a long. I believe
that's where the players are. The players are in the South. Not all of them, of course, but too many of them. And if Florida State and Miami can get their acts together,
and I tell people, I've said it for years. To me, the scariest team for me to deal with, the scariest team, because I know that Florida State can be great. I know that North Carolina could be great. North Carolina's always put out talent. I know they could be great. I know Miami could be great. I know Clemson could be great. But the scariest team to me in the ACC is because they haven't been great, but they're in the first or second best recruiting grounds in the nation is Georgia Tech. Like, if Georgia Tech was to lower their academic standards a little bit and get a coach in there, they're in Atlanta. They're in the city of Atlanta. Like they could bring in loads, and they have money. They could bring in loads of talent. That's the team. That's the sleeping giant to me in the ACC is Georgia Tech. If they ever lower, I mean, at least for football and basketball, if they ever lowered their standards for football and basketball, they could be great because they're in the city of Atlanta. Like all those kids aren't going to go to Georgia.
And the city of Atlanta produces more NFL players than any city in America.
So I mean, like, then people look at me like I'm crazy. Like Georgia Tech, yes, that's the sleeping giant to me. If they were to ever lower their academics for football, it is a problem. It would be a problem for Miami and Florida State. Not saying that we wouldn't beat them, but it would be a problem for Miami and Florida State to play Georgia Tech if they got that Atlanta talent. It would be a problem. And people, I'm just being honest. I'm like, that's the sleeping giant to me in the ACC. So, but it's so hard to get into that school. You know, you have to be what are they? Aeronautical schools and shit like that. What kind of school are they? The aeronautical.
I believe so.
Yeah, you got to go to the moon and stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to get that school. I can be the greatest player in the world. I can't go to Georgia Tech. I ain't got them smarts.
Oh, but, come on now.
And Mark, shoot, I'm shoot the entrance exam. I'm
You and me. Falcon Rex. Falcon Rex. Does he ever check out your show, Falcon Rex? Appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for the super chats.
I think I've seen him in. I'm not 100% sure. I get a lot of SEC guys in. And I can thank Uncle Lou for that. They hated me, and now they like me. It's amazing when they come over. They be like, "Man, I didn't know you was this real. Like you really." I'm me. I want to be me, and like I say, that's how you network so much. That's how I met so many great YouTubers. You know what I'm saying? And Mark, you still there? You still pushing? And listen, support Mark Rogers. He gives everybody an opportunity to come on and grow their brand. You know, nobody really does that. He doesn't. I told Mark years ago, if you just did Ohio State videos, you'll make a lot of money. Make way more money than you make right now. I've told him that. If he just did Ohio State videos, he would have how many seats in Ohio State? It was like 100 and in Horseshoe. What is it, like
111?
I want to say 110, so I was close. 111,000. That's just in the stadium. You go to the state of Ohio. That's all they breed is Ohio State.
Yep.
I said if he just did Ohio State and just focused on Ohio State, y'all would be people might be bad, but his pockets would be a lot better. So that shows the dedication that he does to do everybody else, and he's basically putting other teams first and wanting to network and branch out because I know me, I ain't doing. I'm going to Ohio State. I'm going to give me some of that Ohio State money, boy. Goodness gracious, 111,000 just in the stadium. And do they ever have a game that's not sold out?
No.
So if they play North Wisconsin AA baseball team, this thing gonna be sold out.
It's gonna be sold out. Yeah, it's gonna be sold out.
Oh my God. That's one thing I love about watching Big Ten football. That's one thing I love about watching Big Ten football is watching those guys. I remember a guy asked me, who would you want as a rival game? I said, I would want Penn State as a rival game. Because Miami don't have a rival game. We don't have a rivalry week. I would want Penn State as a rival. That's what I would want because I know it would, with the history of both of those teams and the cachet of both of those teams, I know that it will bring, it would be a big time watch game. Every year, if we could play them on rivalry week every year,
it'd be a fun one.
Yeah, I think it would be because you got Midwest, South, the all white Penn State Nifty I mean, I just think it would be great. I think it would be great, man. That's what I would love to see that. Yeah. Never gonna happen, but I would love to see it.
They've had a few historic hookups.
Yeah, that's why I would love to see it. I would love to see Miami and Penn State play every year. Can't play Ohio State every year because I'm still thinking about that touchdown. I mean, that pass interference. Still think my only one. See how quick I can turn my tip. And yes, the one thing I did disagree with taking away the chain. I did disagree with taking away.
You didn't like that. I should have asked you about that. Yeah,
I did not like that. Not one bit. I feel like I feel like this right here. Miami has created this right here is Miami. This is Miami. The fourth quarter, that Miami came up with that. Running through the smoke, Miami did that. Miami set so many trends in college football that you do not take away something that every other team in college football emulated. Imitated. You don't. This is. I am of 100. I believe 100% of my heart that it will be back this year. I believe it'll be back in a diminished role, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not pulling it out if we're down by 30 points. If it's not an impact play, I believe in not pulling it out if it's not an impact play. But if it's an impact play, I believe it'll be back. Yeah, but I definitely if Mario did one thing that I didn't like, to take away the chain. Everybody said, well, the chain was becoming a gimmick. No, it wasn't becoming a gimmick. It was never a gimmick. It was never becoming a gimmick, because if it was becoming a gimmick, then every time he got an interception, the channels wouldn't put it on them. When it becomes a gimmick is when the cameras aren't paying attention to you anymore. So it wasn't becoming a gimmick, and how many schools were coming up with turnover chains? Or turnover belt a lot, or Florida State with the turnover purse. They had the turnover pocketbook, like backpack, door explorer. I was like, I don't know what the heck they just did. They had the turnover purse.
Now that somebody didn't stop that there and say, hey, whoa, no, we can't let this. No, we can't let this happen. This is lame. We are going to get made fun of. This is pathetic.
I think all of Miami Hurricane YouTubers gave them so much grief behind that they just put it away.
I don't know how that made it through.
I got a whole skit with a door exploder with a Florida State backpack on. I said they got a turnover purse there.
Dora the Explorer.
Oh my gosh, Lord, what is wrong with Florida State? They did something else bad this year too. I'm gonna let you go. They did something else bad this year. Mike Norvell's rap song. Did you see that?
No.
It was worse than the Brian Kelly little dance thing. He doesn't fit LSU.
I said the same thing, but now he's starting to win me over a little bit, and I'm starting to rethink it. But my initial reaction was, Brian Kelly at LSU? Are you kidding me? You couldn't find a more northern guy, and then to throw him in the middle of the bayou.
I can tell you this right here. I don't have a lot of respect for Brian Kelly, because I watched him curse kids out. I'm talking about F-bombs on kids on the sideline. I mean, with the camera. I'm telling Brian Kelly, man, them Louisiana kids are a little bit different, man. Might want to humble yourself going down to the bottom, because you curse one of them out, man. They might be picking your teeth up. Them kids are a little different in the Fifth Ward, man. Them kids are a little different down there, man. I'm telling you, them Louisiana boys don't play. You might want to talk to them a little bit different when you're down there, man, because you got away with that at Notre Dame because it's all the prayer and everything. But somebody gonna be praying over you. You talk to one of them kids the way he was talking. Because I didn't see that as discipline. I saw that as a grown man bullying kids, and maybe that's why he couldn't win. Maybe that's why he couldn't win at Notre Dame. So yeah, he might.
He had a pretty good run.
Huh?
He had a pretty good run at Notre Dame.
Ty Willingham had almost the same run he had.
No.
What I mean, this is what I mean. What big games? Really? What I mean, he had every time it was time for that big game, he got blew out. He got outcoached, and that's what I mean.
But if we're going to look at Brian Kelly's record at Notre Dame versus Ty Willingham's, it's not even close.
I mean, he was Brian Kelly was there for 15 years. But I mean, I'm saying it wasn't like Ty Willingham was bad at Notre Dame. He was better at Stanford. But Brian Kelly had all of this talent. I hate when that happens. Brian Kelly had all of this talent at Notre Dame, and to me that's almost a failure. It's like when I compared Mark Richt with all the talent he had at Georgia, and you look at what Kirby Smart did.
Yeah, but you're talking about two guys coaching at the same. Brian Kelly upgraded Notre Dame considerably. Notre Dame was winning 6 and 7 games
Yeah,
before
he
Brian
did.
Kelly showed up.
They went through a couple coaches. He did that, but I mean, to me, like, what do you do with the talent that you have? Like when you get that's just Miami. I guess it's Miami and me. If Miami has that much talent as Notre Dame had, they better win. And Ohio State fans are probably the same way. Better win. Alabama fans, you better win. I don't want this getting close every year.
Okay. Ty Willingham at Notre Dame. 10 and 3, 5 and 7, 6 and 5.
All right, well, maybe I made a wrong mistake.
And then Brian Kelly, yeah, he didn't close the deal and win a national championship, but he got to a national championship game. He got to 2 other playoffs. He had a good run at Notre Dame.
I'm gonna say this right here, man. If Notre Dame wins 10 games, they're getting into the playoffs because they're Notre Dame.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, though. Brian Kelly won 10 games and didn't get to the playoff.
Well, you're right, because the SEC is taking over now. Now 3 teams are going to be in the SEC. Now 3 teams is going to be the SEC. It's a 4-team thing. 3 teams are going to the playoffs out of the SEC now. They're just buying their way into the playoffs because the SEC East is still stacked. The SEC West, SEC West is still stacked. The East is not that good. They have Georgia, nobody else.
I would argue that a little bit, but we're gonna wrap it. We're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go on at 8 anyway. But I appreciate, man, Mark. I appreciate the opportunity of being there to come talk. We'll chop it up again. Hopefully we'll chop it up again. If I go to the spring game, I hit you up. If I don't go, I'm probably gonna go to the A&M game. I might not go to the inside the game, but I'm probably gonna fly to A&M and go to a bar or something.
Yeah. So. That sounds cool.
But I appreciate
it. All right, so it's great to see you.
You too, my brother. You take care. Everybody in the chat, y'all hit the like button, subscribe, share, and please donate to the channel. It means a lot. Love you guys, man.
Thanks, Zoe.
All right.
I'll remind everyone that we're going to be here at 8 o'clock Eastern time on the West Virginia channel, talking West Virginia football. Falcon Rex, thank you so much for the donation. We'll see you soon.
We out.